Good
So
Lord.
my time and sleep were very limited.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I assume that's online and not in person.
No, it was a mix of both. So the way the VA is set up, in order to get paid out, like you have to do some classes in person. So I was doing a hybrid schedule where about half my classes were in person and half were online. But
Wow.
obviously, I would talk to the teachers like, "Hey, I'm not a 19-year-old kid coming into college. I'm running a business, helping run another one, running the state shooting organization. I stay traveling a lot, so I may miss some days, but I'm gonna stay up to date on my work." And so they gave me quite a bit of leeway with my college classes, being that I am who I am and I do what I do.
Well, I'm sure they appreciated the fact that you came to them and told them that so they were aware.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I learned that my first semester is like you start missing classes and they just automatically assume like you're being lazy and skipping and you don't care about it. So that first semester, I made after that every semester, as soon as I got the contact information from my professors, I'd send them an email day one and explain all of it out.
With everything you already had going on, I mean, you talked about all the stuff that happened at the same time that you're starting your business. And then later you take on the South Carolina section coordinator position. How did that come about?
Oh man. So previously, Todd Holmes was the South Carolina section coordinator, and he was probably
Okay.
one. I mean, he was an amazing section coordinator. He put on really good matches. The South Carolina sectional kind of built up his name to be the best sectional in the country under his guidance. Um, he'd actually even gone and started, assistant match directing at the USPSA Nationals based on what he had done in South Carolina. But Todd reached out, and a few other people did, that he was kind of getting burnt out. That he'd been doing it for 4 or 5 years. He had some other stuff going on in life. He was going to have to step down, and there really wasn't anybody else in the state that had threw their name in the hat. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, I was the stage coordinator helping run a local match where I was at, full time instructor, so my availability to do things, I had a little bit more flexibility than most people with a 9 to 5. Um, and I got to thinking, when they first asked me, I said no. There's no way I'm going to do that. But I got to thinking, it's like I've gotten a lot back out of this sport. This sport has given me a lot, and I think that I should pay my dues. That somebody needs to sit in this position. I have the capability. I had the ability to time wise, um, whether I have to make it or not. That I'm capable of doing it, so I should go do it. And also that I'm my time in sales have got me very front of house friendly. So if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you got your front of house, back of the house. I'm very front of the house friendly. I can talk to about anybody. I'm good at conflict resolution and having conversations. So it seemed like it'd be a good fit. And it didn't seem at the time there was too much that you had to do with the job other than run the section match, which I woefully undermined about how much work it is to build a major and to run it. Uh, but uh, but I threw my name in the hat regardless and said, "Hey, I'll be your guy. I'll do it for you." And jumped in, and actually, the 2026 South Carolina sectional was the first one that I ran on my own. I jumped in, was the assistant match director for the 2025 match, and I ran this one this year on my own. As far as being the match director, I had a whole team of people helping me, but as far as me making the decisions and making stuff happen, this was my first year doing
On a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no difficulty, 10 being the most difficulty, how would you rate it being your first one?
it. In all actuality, I would say honestly about a 6 to a 7. But because I'm kind of a perfectionist and I'm a little OCD with things and I constantly worry about potential problems that may arise, I added a lot of stress onto myself. And also just kind of being in the blind with some things about how it would work, how it wouldn't. I really stressed myself out over it, but I put a lot of time into it, a lot of hours. I had an amazing team. Shout out to Matt Hopkins. I definitely couldn't have done it without Matt Hopkins, without Chris Holiday, Aaron English, Randy Meadows, some of the guys that have been here with the South Carolina sectional doing it in the last few years. I was really able to lean on those guys and take their experience. When it come time to make a decision, I wasn't just trying to rule with an iron fist. I'd reach out to each of them like, "Hey, what do you think on this? Just based off your experience, what would be the best route to go?" And I try to take that collective group information and make the best decision for the match moving forward.
How many arguments have you and Matt gotten into between South Carolina barbecue and Kansas City barbecue?
Oh, not a bit. None.
None at all.
Dude, I'm not picky. Dude, barbecue's barbecue. It's good no matter where you get it from. Which I drown all mine in hot sauce, so I don't taste much of the flavor anyhow.
Okay.
Yeah, so
There you
it don't
go.
matter too much to me. Though I will say the vinegar-based barbecue is much better.
That is where I am not a fan of barbecue. I mean, I'm not a fan of vinegar barbecue.
Oh, you like the mustard base?
I'm a Texas barbecue guy.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm from Texas,
I
so
know.
it was weird too. The timing is weird because I saw a video earlier today where I guess I didn't know this, but I guess it's an argument thing as to where barbecue originated. Because the video I was watching, the guy said in 1517 was the first time the Indians taught the whatever individuals were in South Carolina how to cook a pig over an open pit and coals. So I don't know. I have
That's
no
all.
idea.
It started in South Carolina. South Carolina's the home of barbecue.
Well, then people were saying, but the Carolinas weren't split until the 1700s. So is it north or was it? But apparently, if you look at the location, it wasn't far from Beaufort, South Carolina. So that's why they say South Carolina. Other people are like, no, it was in the Jamaica or somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't even know that there was a whole argument thing going on as to where barbecue originated. Who cares? It's barbecue. It's good.
Hey man, some people get up in arms over that, especially like the barbecue competitions and this and that and the other.
Oh,
Dude,
yeah.
I could never go to those competitions because I couldn't tell you which one was better. I was like, that's good, and that one's good, and that one's good, and this one's good. They're all good.
Yep.
And people go back and
100%.
forth. I prefer the vinegar-based barbecue, but I anytime I've been in Texas, I've enjoyed the barbecue. I enjoy the barbecue in North Carolina. No matter where I go, like I just enjoy good food, right? I enjoy variety.
I should probably clarify that it's not the barbecue for me. It's the sauces. You know, I have a preference for sauces, but like you, the barbecue, it's all the same.
That's all the difference it is. Like no matter
Yeah.
where they cook it, they're cooking it basically the same way. You're heating up pig, and then what
Yeah.
sauce do you put on it and when?
Right.
So
That's
like
the
me,
real
like
personal preference.
I've already told you, I can go to the same restaurant 5 days a week, order something different every day, and enjoy it. I'm the same with barbecue. Give me a different one every day of the week, and I'll enjoy each of them.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. So you haven't been doing the South Carolina sectional thing that long.
Nope. I agreed. I want to say late 2024 to take over. They sent Todd sent out a message to all the match directors in South Carolina. Nobody else wanted to throw their name in the hat, so I won it by proxy. And I jumped in then with him and Matt and the guys running the South Carolina sectional and started coming to the meetings, just kind of shadowing him and see how he did things. I helped out as the assistant match director at the 2025 match, and then I think 6 weeks after the match, I officially took over the position.
Was there any hesitancy? Because late 2024, we were still coming out of a bunch of politic issues in USPSA. Did any of that have any bearing?
Not really, because there was a lot of drama, especially up at the board level and national level. And the same, I'll
Right.
tell you the same thing I've told guys all over. It's like, dude, there's always going to be drama. Like, no matter what sport it is, there's going to be drama. But show up on a Saturday to your local range and see how much drama's there. There's not, right? People are arguing about this and that at the high level and judging this one and that one. And it's, dude, you show up to a match. Everybody's laughing, everybody's shooting, everybody's having a good time and smiling. And that's what it's about, right? I'm not taking over a board position where I'm going to be on camera and over an area. Dude, it's a sectional coordinator job. The only thing I have to do is make sure to coordinate the matches within the state to make sure nobody's stepping on each other's toes, help new clubs get started, and run a major match once a year. That's all you have to do. So what can really go wrong in the politics of that?
You never know. But
You're
I
right.
tend to agree with you. But you never know when, you know, there's always the chance of a widget somewhere.
Yeah, there is.
So how much time do you spend? One of the things you just said was helping new clubs and stuff like that. how much time do you find you're spending as the coordinator helping other clubs or being a liaison between them and the director?
So I try to I've got my schedule built to where I make my rounds to where I'm at every club, every USPSA club in South Carolina at least 2 or 3 times a year to travel around, to show my face to all the clubs, make myself available for people to speak with me. Um, and I'd say for the first little while, it really wasn't too much about new clubs coming online. But over the last, I'd say 4 to 5 months, we've had one new club get their affiliation. I have a second one in progress now, and I was just on the phone yesterday with a third that will be getting their affiliation started. So we should have 3 new clubs here in South Carolina soon. But that doesn't take up a lot of the time. When I do go around to the existing clubs and the new clubs once they get started holding matches, I always try to link with the match director and their core group to give them any advice I can, any tips, see what help I can be to help them have a better match, based off my experience of running a match here in South Carolina, as well as going around and visiting all these clubs and having these conversations with match directors about best practices. And it's currently in the works. As soon as I can find a little time to sit here at this computer for more than a few minutes, to actually put out like a match director's guide for our club in South Carolina, just to give them some of the best practices and help them get a foot up whenever they're starting and running the club.
Is that just you looking to do that, or do you have like a core group of match directors that could help you put that together?
So it's just me thinking about the idea. I've
Okay.
had one other guy that's helped mentor me, that's been shooting the sport for a long time, and he's mentioned that it would be helpful. But I will be taking input, and I've told all these match directors I work with, especially the ones that have been doing it for a while. I'm always one that, hey, if I don't know, I'm not going to be scared to say like, hey, I don't know, but I know some people that do know, that have the
Right.
experience, and I'm going to go ask them. I'm not just going to ask one and take their word for it. Then I'm going to go ask 2 or 3 or 4, and try to get as much information as I can. So once I start compiling that, I've got a little bit of it together now, but once we start compiling it on further, I'm definitely going to have all the match directors read over it and ask, what else can we add? What else would be a benefit to a new club or someone thinking of being a match director and starting a club that would help them out, especially in that first year, because that first year is rough.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah. I would feel like after about 6 months though, as a match director, you'd have a pretty good grasp of what's going on for the most part. Might be a few little things, but does the section have a website?
We do, we do. I can look it up here. I couldn't call it off the top of my head.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I'm almost wondering if a digital version of that would be better than a physical
Yeah,
copy version,
that's exactly what I'm talking about doing, making
Okay.
it be a Google Docs, a living document that we can constantly add to and pull out from,
Yeah.
but have that resource available to someone that's looking to start and run a match. Because honestly, that's what's hurting South Carolina now is we've got the clubs that we've got, but every one of them you can hardly get in because they're selling out within minutes of registration opening, and there's more shooters than we have clubs available for people to shoot. So luckily, we've got these new clubs coming online that's going to help out with that. Um, and I think that if you have a resource like that available, it would make people a little bit more apt to starting a club, because jumping in, it's kind of scary jumping into something you don't know and haven't done before. So having that guide there and that feedback from people that have been doing it for years to help you get you started, I think would kind of incentivize them a little bit to making that leap.
All right. Dang it. All right. I have 2 questions. I need to throw them out now because I'll forget them both. One, have you guys thought of putting a contact list of match directors who'd be willing to be contacted by a new guy in case he has questions, that he needs answered now? Two, so that's the actual question. My other question is more of a comment, which is, I think the whole match selling out rapidly is something that's all along the East Coast, where we have a lot of people. None of us have enough, because we have the same problem in Virginia where literally the local here I think they had 180 shooters last month. They're probably going to fill out and have 180 to 200 again this month. and there are still people on the wait list, and it's filling up in minutes as well. But we don't have the space up here for other ranges, other clubs like it sounds like you guys do down there. So are how many more opportunities are there for you guys to have more clubs down there to help with that? And then the other part is that is it going to help, or are the same shooters just going to keep filling up all the same matches because now there's just more to shoot?
No, I believe it absolutely will help. Well, first off, that idea about having a resource of somebody that is a match director, or may not even be a match director, maybe they've been on a setup crew helping run a match for years, but having that resource for them to say, "Hey, I'm willing." If somebody's got a question, give them my contact information. Having that resource available, that is a fantastic idea that I will be shamelessly stealing from you. Um, the
You're
second
welcome.
part, the second part of that question, no, we are seeing a lot of new shooters. There's a lot more people getting involved. Every match has a wait list. I'm constantly enamored with going to these matches and seeing new faces because South Carolina is not huge. You know, we've seen the same faces for a long time. But here over the last year to 2 years, there's so many new faces coming in. These matches are selling out so quick and having massive wait list. And we have a lot of ranges in a lot of rural areas of South Carolina that can hold matches and will be holding matches, but they have to be provided the information that, hey, this is out here and you do have the demand. We just need some more supply, brother. Um, so I believe it will absolutely help out. We have a lot of people from South Carolina. We have some higher level shooters that are wanting to go to nationals, but unfortunately, nationals, the slots given out to the sections are based off activity points. And when you only have a handful of clubs running matches, your activity points aren't that high. We get 4 slots to nationals, generally for most of the nationals we're getting. Our neighbors to the north, North Carolina, they get 10 slots, and I think Georgia got 8 slots for Factor Good National, something like that. But they have more clubs than we do. So that's the issue for us. But we're actively working to get more clubs up and running so we can up those numbers and get South Carolina a little bit more represented at nationals, especially with how the registration process goes. And you're basically on a hope and a prayer to get in on open registration.
It seems like to me, and I mean, you'd be the one to correct me if I was wrong here, but it does seem to me like South Carolina is becoming a little bit more of a hotbed for competition.
It is. It is. We have some very high level competitive shooters in the state. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that kind of breeds more. The culture is kind of changing as these matches have gotten more popular over the last 4 or 5 years. More guys have gotten involved, and South Carolina is also one of the fastest growing states population wise in the entire country, especially in the areas of Greenville and Charleston. Charleston is absolutely booming with people. And so when you bring in more numbers, that just ups your probability as you're going to have somebody that has quite a bit of talent or the ability to learn and grow those skills with the more people you have coming into an area.
Right. And again, like I was talking to someone the other day, I mean, it's also the more people you have there too, the more casual shooters you're going to have that are going to want to find a local match where they can go and shoot, hang out with buddies, and
Yep.
have more social time. So absolutely. And I mean, uh, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I also feel for a range to look to add to income, it's an easier way to add an income for the range facility by holding a match where, even if you're only getting 50 or 60 shooters, if you're charging $20, $25 a match, you're still making some money to help with the cash flow at these places.
Here's what I tell ranges that call me and ask about it. I tell them having a local USPSA match is not going to make you rich, right? It's not going to blow up your
No.
bank account. But what it is going to do is it's going to bring you exposure that people in your area are going to hear about it. You're going to have more people coming to these matches and realize like, hey, this range is only 20 minutes from my house. So it's going to help you get more members if you have a membership business model or if you have, a daily charge, however you have it set up. And people coming out to these matches are going to want to get better. And most likely you're in an area where people don't have access to another range because they're not building ranges on top of each other. So you're going to drive more business there. And what are those guys going to do? They're going to bring their buddies, because what do we all do? We get into this sport, we love it. We try to talk all of our buddies to come with us. And they come with us and they get their teeth kicked in. They're like, hey, well, I need to come train with you. Well, where are they going to train at? Most likely, if they're coming to your local, they're going to come to your club.
Yeah, agree. And it's definitely not a money making scheme, you know, where, like you said, it's not a get rich quick thing, but it does, like the local here. I mean, he and I were talking about, you know, based on numbers, how much money that local club gets every year. And it's not a small amount, it's not an insignificant amount. Again, it's not a get rich quick, but at the same time, it's a decent amount of cash flow into the club to help make improvements and do other things.
That's the big thing. But it kind of covers
Yeah.
down on some of your maintenance costs, and keeping your club having equipment for your members to shoot, and to be able to renew those every few years, as long as you're smart with the money. Like I said, you're not making thousands and thousands of dollars at a time, but hey, you're making a few
No.
hundred here and a few hundred there, and that will cover some of those little costs that add up over time.
100%. Absolutely. I thought I saw a picture of you shooting a Canic.
Yep. So I started shooting my first matches. I was carrying a Glock at the time, just because I didn't know much about pistols, and Glock was like the standard. And
Right.
then went to a match, and it was actually before all the Rivals and all that come out. The SFX had just come out, if you remember those things, and they were like the most competition ready out of the box. And a guy was like, "Hey, do you want to try this?" And he let me try it, and I immediately felt how fantastic the trigger was. And I was like, "This is light years." Yeah, that's it. It was light years better than the Glock trigger. So I actually went out, and at the time, that was when Carry Optics was just a provisional division. And I was like, I'm never going to run a red dot on a pistol. It's a breakage point. They're not reliable. So I intentionally went out and bought the Canic TP9 SFLs, which is the SFX without the optics plate. It's their SF version long slide. And I shot production division and shot those for a long time. And eventually I did come to the light and get a dot, and shot Canics all the way through to the point in Carry Optics until I made Grandmaster. I didn't really see the point in investing thousands of dollars into this high tier gun when I knew that I didn't have the capabilities to run them at their true potential. So I stayed on Canics all the way through making Grandmaster. And then after I made Grandmaster last year, I had a buddy let me borrow his McLaren Customs because I was going to Race Gun Nationals. I was planning on shooting my Canic at Race Gun Nationals. And he let me borrow his McLaren, and I really loved the 2011 platform. So come back, and I immediately ordered an MPA and kept shooting the Canic. And then Walter reached out to me a little while back, and they sent me some steel frame Walters because I've been wanting to try the heavier pistol. So that's what I'm shooting now in Carry Optics. And for the most part, I'm on the MPA with the Loc V2 in limited optics. But when I do shoot CO right now, I am shooting a Walter SF match.
Is that a 5-inch barrel on it?
It is the 5-inch.
Okay. Yeah, I've got the Rival and Rival S. So what did you think when you started shooting the steel frame versus the polymer frame?
So the McLaren I shot was the 4-inch slide with the steel grip, and I really liked the weight of it. So going from that back to the Canic, when unfortunately my buddy said he had to have his gun back, and I made him fist fighting for it, and I didn't win that one. Going back to the polymer Canic, it felt like a toy in my hand, like I was just throwing it around. So whenever I got my hands on the PDP, the steel frame, I actually really enjoy the heavier guns. Some guys like the aluminum grips on their 2011s. I like it steel, as heavy as it is. For me, it eliminates some of the dot bounce, and like it does shoot a little bit flatter being lighter. But for me, the way I shoot, my shooting style and how I do, I'm not really a really fast split type of guy. I'm never one that you're going to see dropping 11 and 12 splits regularly on the stage. I'm very deliberate, and what I found is that with it kind of returning flatter as a heavier pistol compared to a polymer pistol, that I'm can be much more deliberate about my transitions off and it helps me gain overall efficiency. So I do enjoy it. And even if I do go back to the mechanics at any point in time, I'd probably end up getting one of their steel frames as well.
Yeah, because now I'm like you. I've done this a lot more than you, and I still can't figure out which side is which. But right here is a Rival S, and that, my Chrome Rival S. But I asked that question because now it's interesting what you were saying about transitions and stuff. But I found out something accidentally last year at Area 8. I shot the first day with my Rival S, and the second day I switched to my polymer Rival because I was having malfunctions, and I was like, oh, maybe it's the gun. So I'm like, I'll switch back over to my polymer Rival, and ended up being, it was the ammo. The ammo barely made power factor. So like they fired 4 rounds out of my gun. 3 of them were like 125 point something, and the other one was 124 point something.
That always sucks. You're standing there with your stomach in knots, just watching the numbers pop up. You're like, please be spicy. Please be spicy.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my. Well, but then I realized, because I still had some malfunctions in the polymer run, and I was like, and then when I saw the numbers on the ammo, I'm like, that's what the issue was. But when I switched over from the steel to the poly the next day, I found out that I induce a lot of gun movement, a lot of tremoring with, because what I'm finding, what I learned was that I have a lot of trigger hand, strong hand grip
Tension.
on the gun. Yeah, a lot of tension. Well, with the steel gun, because it's so heavy, it doesn't show as much. Like the dot doesn't move much. But in the polymer gun, if I see movement, I tend to grip harder, and I just keep gripping harder. The problem is I'll add strong hand tension to it, and the shaking just gets worse. It doesn't get better.
You're applying the right correction. You're just applying it to the wrong area.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty cool when you can shoot guns back to back like that and see. I did that last year. Each year, the match I help run, which is MCRC in Columbia, South Carolina, we have a Toys for Tots match, and we donate every penny to the Toys for Tots program. And each year we raise over $5,000 and a whole truckload of toys to give to Toys for Tots. But we run a match, and we run it Saturday and Sunday. You can shoot on both days. You just have to shoot in different divisions, right? And so it's not a 20-stage match. It's a 7-stage match that you can shoot Saturday or Sunday, or shoot on both days, just in different divisions. So last year, I was getting trained up for race gun nets, and I had the McLaren, and I had my Canic. And so I shot the McLaren on the first day, the Canic on the second day, the polymer mechanic. And going back and looking at the time chart, because I'm a nerd and I analyze and break down all of them on every one, nearly every split was faster with the steel frame McLaren, and every transition was faster with the polymer mechanic. And the scores were really close. They weren't far off. Time-wise and hits-wise, they were very close. And I just thought that was really cool to see the difference between the steel frame and the polymer, and what the actual technical data tells you the difference in shooting them.
Now, where did you get the times for the transitions?
Off the time chart. So off the
practice score, like a Bluetooth? Okay.
The practice score competitor app, we use the AMG timers, so it syncs time, just like all the majors do these days, and you can go and look at the time chart. And nowadays you can do the video overlay where it'll show you the splits and everything on it, which is really cool.
Right.
So if you're listening to this and you don't have the practice score competitor app, stop being so cheap. It's worth every single penny of the $10 to go buy it. It really helps you break down and analyze results a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, that's a super cheap price for that app. I mean, it's almost theft.
It is. I was actually messaging with the developer a few weeks ago, and I was telling him, I was like, man, yeah, I was like, you guys need to start charging annually for this. I was like, I paid $10 one time years ago. Dude, I would pay $50 a year and not blink an eye at this for what this reminds me.
Don't give them too many crazy ideas. I mean,
man,
$10 a year, $20 a year. No, you're right. They're seriously undercharging for that.
But think about what Practice Score has given us over all the years between developing the app and the scoring and the tablets. And think about what it used to be with all the paper logs and how many errors that can happen there, where it's like nowadays you can see every edit, you can sync time and time charts and compare head to head and make adjustments like that. Sitting for 4 hours and calculating scores at the end of the match. I mean, at our local club, we finish tearing down, we leave, and it's you got to go to the wing joint when you leave. So all 30 of us go crowd into the wing joint, and before we even get our food, we've got the scores, so we can sit there and trash talk each other over the scores. That was unheard of before Practice Score. So I absolutely believe those guys deserve any income they can get from this. They've developed something that's helped progress the shooting sports.
And if you knew someone who just shot Area 1, you could go look at all their stuff too.
Exactly. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
All my students, as they go travel and shoot majors, I'm keeping up with it in real times a lot of times. And what's really cool about that is I can provide real-time coaching, just watching their scores pop in, see them have a bad stage, and know this student's kind of prone that they have a bad stage, and they kind of shut down, and it gradually gets worse. So I'm able to step in real time and shoot them a quick text like, hey, let it go, leave that on the stage, follow your process, right? All the emotions you're feeling, that's fine. Feel them, but when you hit that next stage, you start over. You're fresh, and you're attacking the next one like it's the only one you've got to shoot.
I'm feeling attacked now. I might be guilty of that on occasion every time.
Most of us are, man. We invest a lot of time, effort, energy, money, sweat into this sport. So especially when you go to majors, like you want to see it pay off. So it's hard not to let the emotion come in when you don't shoot to what you consider your standard, your abilities at a major match. So it's very easy to let those emotions come in. And you can talk to even some of the highest level shooters out there, and they'll tell you that they have them and they have a process for managing them. So it's not, if you don't have those emotions, then I think you're not like the rest of us. Almost all of us have them. It's just learning to manage them and having a process for managing them in real time.
Yeah, I had Jacob Hetherington on years ago when I had AMU on, and he said, I give myself 30 seconds to get that emotion out, and then it's on to the next thing.
Yeah, you've got to. So any match that I've shot, and I speak out majors because locals for me, like they're fun. There's something to do to kind of verify the training you're putting in, but they don't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. But at a major, every match I've shot where I've held those emotions and carried it from one stage to the next, like the scores only get worse. You don't get better at carrying it, whether that's good emotions or negative emotions, right? Whether you absolutely crush a stage or whether you fall flat on your face. You carry that emotion into the next stage while you're standing on that start line, you're not going to be executing at the peak level of efficiency that you're capable of.
So how do you look? What's your strategy at a level 1? Is it practice or is it competition?
I'm a really competitive guy, so it's hard for me over the years to cut out the competition, especially when a lot of my training partners and guys that I kind of progressed up through the ranks with. It's hard to do that when they're there, but honestly, I look at locals as a verification of the work that I'm putting in my training. It is, I can set up as many stages as I want to in my front yard or at the range, but it's not the same as being at a match with people watching, the timer going, the results getting posted. So it's a good pressure test that the training I'm putting in is working. So I use it more for verification, but also I do use locals for training sometimes, right? If I'm in my speed mode or if I'm in my developmental mode, like whatever I'm doing, I will throw match results away. I'll show up to a local and know, like, hey, my results are not going to be what I'm capable of this match because I'm really testing the skill. I'm pushing to see how far I can get away with this skill. I'm seeing where the rev limiter is with this, and I want to test it in real time at a match where I don't have do-overs. I've got 6 times to put it to the test and see if I can execute it and how far I can push it before it starts to break down.
It's kind of like the Eric Graffel format where you get one time, even in practice, you're out at the range doing practice, you get one shot. That's it. Do something else so you don't.
So actually hearing that's my lead up for training for a major, and about 4 to 6 weeks out from a major, that's what my training goes to. I will go build usually larger complex stages, and I get one time to run it this way. And then I change the start position, I change the engagement order, I change the targets around, because it's not going to do me a lot of good to practice the same thing over and over, because obviously I'm going to get better at it. I'm going to advance on the result of that. But what I want to do is test my ability to follow the process when I have to stage plan a new stage, give myself 2 or 3 minutes to lock it in, and then execute it, and then see where the wheels are falling off on that. It's not really a good litmus test if I'm just running the same stage over and over and over. I want to see what I can do that one time go, because when I go to a major, that's exactly what I'm going to see, and I'm able to identify those deficiencies a little bit quicker doing it that way.
Yeah, that's kind of like running the same classifiers over and over and over just to get a high hit factor on a classifier, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your skill is improved. You just practice the same thing over and over and over to the point where it's
Perfect,
easy.
perfect example here at a local match within the last month or so. We had a competitor come, shot the classifier, and the guy, I mean, the guy's a C class competitor. That's normally where he competes. It's kind of newer, but he went, he shot a classifier, and he shot it. It was C class. Well, afterwards, he looked at it, and they were like, "Oh, the timer picked up an extra shot, but it was already accepted, so he had to reshoot it." So he shot it a second time. He got the reshoot, so reshot it, and he shot an A class run on it. And then when the match was over, he's like, "Well, I want to run it again, just for just for giggles, just to go run it again." And he run it a third time in the same day, and he got a GM score on it. Does that mean that he's a GM? No, that just means that he just shot the same thing 3 times in a row, picked up familiarity with it, knowing exactly what it feels like when going at his speed and where to push and where to back off. So that type of training is not really going to do you a lot of good whenever you're training up for a major.
Right. And if you were to set up a different classifier right beside it and he ran it, he'd run a C class score.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting. Now, I assume he ran that after the match, but so it didn't count towards anything, but
It wasn't for score.
right. That's interesting that he did that. And the result, you know. So obviously he's able to pick up that familiarity very quickly. So
Yeah.
good on him.
That's so honestly, that's got to be one of the things I'm happiest about as far as USPSA rule changes over the last few years. Number one, allowing video evidence. That's been absolutely fantastic and vital. But two, changing it so you can't pay $5 and just reshoot classifiers, because I would see those going out doing that and just paying $5 over and over and over again until they hit the score they wanted and then go home, and then they're ranking up and like, yeah, you're a master now. You got an M beside your name, but you're finishing at 61% at your matches you're going to. I mean, you're gaming the system.
No, I totally agree with you. 100%. And I like the fact that, well, let me back up, because you also had those individuals, and I've never been this type of person, so I had to hear people talking about it to go, really? People are doing that? Where they would just start going as fast as they could, and if they knew they made a mistake, they would purposely, throw shots or do something, slow their time down so that the score wouldn't count at all.
Hero or zero.
Yeah.
Hero or zero. Yep. I saw a lot of that.
And I honestly would have never thought of that. Like, I would have never considered, if we just, hero or zero it. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So,
No, well, when it comes to like classifications, I tried for a long time to reach Grandmaster. It's something I wanted, not only for me personally to reach that goal, but for business as well. Because no matter if you're in law enforcement, military, competitive shooting, like the term Grandmaster, like that's extremely hard to get. So to have that title beside my name, it meant a lot to me. And I tried for a long time. And the harder I tried, the farther I got away from it once I was a master. And no matter how hard I tried, I was pushing. And I honestly made Grandmaster when I stopped. I come to realization like, hey, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. I will see the results when I put in the required work. And I started shooting classifiers just like stages. And I didn't even know I was close enough to reach Grandmaster when I made it. I was teaching a class, and almost every class I teach that's an open enrollment, it includes a day where we all go shoot a local match together. That way you can directly put it in the work, or I use it as a diagnosis of you before we train. But either way, I was shooting the match with a group of students that we trained together the day before, and I shot a classifier, and I think it was like 102% or something like that. And they were like, "What does that do? Where does that put you?" And I was like, "I don't know." And I pulled my phone out, and I'm standing there. So it's the last stage of the day, I pulled it out and I'm standing there and I feel bad for the guy that was up there shooting because he was on the line in his make ready about to get the buzzer, and I did the calculation. I was like, holy shit, I'm a grandmaster. And I screamed. I didn't even realize I was close enough to do it. But and it only came after I stopped caring. I stopped caring about the letter and stopped trying so hard on the classifiers. And that's a piece of advice I can give to any young competitive shooters coming in. Stop caring about the classifier. Stop shooting them any differently. They're one of the stages at the match. Just shoot it like a stage, and the results will show you where you're at and where you need to put work in order to reach the next level.
Agree. Because I found when I first started shooting them that I would get tense while I was shooting it. And then I went with that whole, you know what? I heard it somewhere else. It was probably on another podcast somewhere that I heard it, and I was like, oh, just shoot it like another stage. Don't treat it like a classifier, even though it is. It's just another stage, and that's what I started doing. And I noticed that I would be more relaxed when I shot it.
That's because you were focusing on the result, right?
Yep.
That's you cared about the result and you were trying and forcing a result. And what that does is that pushes you to shoot outside of your current ability level. And maybe one time out of 10, you can hook up that Euro 0 and do that. But you're doing things differently than you've trained in because you're trying to get that result. When you stop caring about that result and just follow the process that you've built to do that transition, to do that entry, to do that exit, to engage a target at this distance, you just follow your process, then you'll naturally shoot at your ability level. If you don't need to try for it, you will do it. So stop caring about the result. Just follow your process.
Yep. So what does your shooting career look like?
As far as everything I've done, or where do you see?
Well, I mean, the future, I'm sorry, what does the future of your shooting career look like competition wise?
So I know for the last year and probably for the next year or so, I'm still building my business, right? That's the priority, is growing my brand, growing my abilities as an instructor, seeing more students and learning different ways to teach these techniques. But I believe after that, I would like to put a little bit more focus on my shooting. Right now, I go to majors. I'm finishing between 85 and 95%ish, and I'm happy sitting there because I'm not dedicating the time to myself and my training that I need to get the result that I want. And the result that I want is to win the match. So once I get the brand built, once I gain some more traction and kind of can start hosting a little bit larger classes farther away from South Carolina, I'll put a little bit more focus on training myself and then go after and start trying to win some more titles and get some more trophies to put on that wall up there.
So would you ever, it's a lot of time and effort. Do you ever see yourself pursuing like a national championship?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, whether it's realistic or not, because like I said, I'm in my late 30s. You know, I spent a long time in the military. I have some physical things catching up with me.
Right.
And as far as also having a young family, it's hard. And you can actually watch Hunter Constantine's documentary on the World Shoot, and with them talking to Jay and about what, the sacrifice it takes being away from your family and the time you have to give in order to win these national and world titles and to chase those things. Like, you got to sacrifice something. And honestly, at this point, I'm not 100% convinced I'm willing to sacrifice that with my children being so young to go out and chase that. So if I never achieve it, that's fine. I know I've made an impact on this sport. I've made an impact on a lot of people's lives. And I've gone out and had fun and competed near the top. If I wasn't at the top, but I competed near the top. And if I went out tomorrow, I'd be happy with that because I think I've been a pretty great dad to my kids.
Amen. You mentioned something earlier that I want to go back to, and you said coaching and like you'll follow past students' progress in major matches and stuff like that. One of the things I've mentioned for a few years is I'll ask people randomly about coaching because I feel like there's a lot of sports that have coaching, whether it's golf or tennis or obviously, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, they all have coaching, but even the individual sports have coaches, but not in this sport. Do you think there's ever going to be an opening for coaching in this sport?
I think there already is, and I think it's not noticed. Max Michelle had a coach, right? You talked to JJ Racaza. His dad was coaching him. How
His
many?
dad does, yep.
His dad does, right? Guys at the highest level are using them. Some guys' egos won't allow them to do it, but having a coach, somebody that's got that third person point of view that can see from the outside, that knows you and knows your temperament, knows your abilities, and kind of what you tend to do and what you don't, and be able to correct that, shine light on it, and honestly, accountability is holding people accountable. Um, I think that's vital for progression. It's something I've seen my students have a direct benefit from it. I've seen other guys that have other coaches have a direct benefit from it. And it's something that I would say is growing extensively by the day within the sport. There's a lot more guys that were instructors that are now diving more into the coaching part. One, because there's a calling for it. We're having more high performance competitors come forward now than we've ever seen before. But two, because honestly, as an instructor or coach or teacher, whatever you want to call it, it is a lot more gratifying being able to grab those students and stick with them and help them continually progress and climb that next mountaintop and be with them when they hit those valleys and they hit those lows and help coach them out of it. Because it's easy to get wrapped up in our own brain and our own emotions, and have somebody there that knows us to help coach us out and get us past that next plateau. I think it's absolutely invaluable.
The greatest names in sports have had coaches. Tiger
Tom,
Woods,
Tom
Michael
Brady had a
Jordan.
coach.
Yeah, Tom Brady. Yeah. I mean, those are the three that we would consider in our lifetime to be GOATs,
Yeah.
you know? So they all had coaches. They all had people to talk them and keep them level headed and keep things moving properly.
And to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest parts about coaching is like hold them accountable. Hey, this is where you're supposed to be at. You're not there. Why? What are you not doing? What are you doing incorrectly that you're not getting the result based on the body of work? Because the body of work tells us you should be get there if you're putting the work in. So what are you not doing?
Well, and like I say too, I mean, if you ever watch two people play chess, then as you being the third party standing outside, you have a different view of the board. You're not in the middle of it. So you're able to see the entire match and what's going on, where when you're in the middle of it, you don't see that stuff. So if you're the coach, so like you, and you have one of your students who's risen to the point where he's on the super squad competing somewhere, well, he may not, he has blinders on. He has tunnel vision sometimes.
Mhm.
You being back, not being knee deep in it, you can say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what you might be doing, or, switch your strategy, do this instead. And then boom, they're able to, MMA fighters, world champions, they got a guy coaching them in between rounds,
Yep.
you know?
Well, I mean, a good way to look at it is if go watch video game streamers, right? If you go on YouTube, there's a million of them that stream video games, and they're in this really high pressure, intense, fast paced game, and they're just locked in. And you, as a viewer, can sit here and watch the video and see, oh, you missed a guy over there, or there's a piece of loot right there. You didn't see this right there, and you're like, how is this guy, a top ranked video gamer, makes a living doing it? He didn't see that because he's so focused on that one thing and trying to take in everything that little things get missed. And so having somebody sitting over their shoulder like, hey, check that corner right there. Hey, make sure you grab that piece of loot. When they're locked in on their long-term goal of winning that game, is going to do nothing but help them rise to a higher level.
When you're in the corporate world, did you go through any training that directly relates to your firearms instructor?
Not really.
No? Okay.
Maybe you could put some of the CRM stuff like the crew resource management about training and different people's personalities and getting through to them. Maybe you could relate some of that stuff, but not really.
And that's what I was wondering with more on the coaching side of it, because I could see where maybe some leadership classes dealing with the different personalities and stuff might help in that area. I don't know though.
It did. I would actually say that some of my leadership courses I took in the military definitely helped.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
About dealing with the different, like I said, the different personality types and temperaments and making efficient decisions and helping guide, like that definitely plays a part.
And talk about diversity. I mean, in the military, you literally get people from every single walk of life. So you're definitely dealing with different people. And it's funny you said that, because I was a formal instructor for about 6 years straight with marksmanship. And man, I always said, and then later it was 20 years with being a paramedic and teaching in that realm also. If you are not able to alter how you teach for different people, you're not going to be a very good instructor, because man, everybody, like you're saying, everybody learns differently. And sometimes, oh my gosh, they would always give me the math class to teach for paramedic students, because nobody liked teaching that. And that, I literally had people who, they were Americans, but they might have been from Brazil originally. And they literally, their division is upside down from the way ours looks. So at breaks and other stuff, I'd have to sit there and find ways to make the connection so they could understand how to do certain things. And I would have to learn from them as well, because I would also have to learn what they're doing in order to figure out, okay, this is what I have to do to get them to the next step. So
I would say, in order to be a good instructor or coach, or however you want to label it, it's just like anything else. You have to have the experience, but you also have to have the willingness to change and change the way you're putting that information, be able to learn from it. And that's something that's, I mean, like I said, that's part of my plan right now is there's still some coaching things that I need to learn as a coach and instructor, how to get across to different personality types. And if you're not willing to do that, you need to hang up the cleats of being an instructor. And if the instructor ever says this is the way to do something, don't go back to it. Right? There's not the way to do anything. There's a way to do everything. So anytime you see an instructor saying, well, this is the only way to do it, if you don't do it this way, you're not right, he's not a very good coach. He's not a very good instructor. In the same way that if you see that same, or any coach or instructor just trying to beat the same thing into a student's head over and over and over, and it's not clicking, and they don't adjust the way that they're layering or giving that information out, they don't know what they're doing, and they're just repeating things they've heard other instructors say.
can't argue with that. What is it about teaching and coaching that you like the most?
I love that chess game part of it. I like how every student is different and how they process information, how to get across. So I'm really good at metaphors. So if I take somebody that's got a law enforcement background, or somebody that's really big into race, like racing or whatever, being able to give them that metaphor to get them to understand the concept, and honestly to relate it and understand the why behind we're doing this. So I love that part of it. It's constantly a challenge for me, and I like to be challenged to be able to get that across. But then also, I personally love the process of watching someone else get better, watching them put in the work, and watching that satisfaction come, of that reward of like, hey, I've been busting my tail at this for so long, and for that light to finally turn on, like, oh, I get it, or I can do that skill set. Or I had a student a while back send me a video of their side by side from a year ago to where they're at now, and just they were over the moon excited about how far they come, even though they had been training for years prior to that, never saw that type of progress. For them to see that progress now, like, it kind of rejuvenized their love of the sport and their willingness to train and continue going, because they thought they were as high as they could ever get, and they would get frustrated and quit. But then you just kind of give them some tweaks and tools, and not hold their hand, but just show them which path to walk down and how to walk it, and see them put it together. Like, it's just something that I love. I loved it in the military, whether training somebody on the rifle, or training them on our computer systems, or training them to be a leader. Like, I just love that process of being able to help grow and mold the next generation that are coming up, which is another big part why I got involved with the Tim Gaskin Legacy Foundation.
Going back to the example of the individual who showed you a stage run a year ago compared to now, and how far they've come, how much of that do you think is your ability not only to maybe help them improve what they're doing, but also teaching them how to practice so they can get better?
I would say that's the biggest part. It's like people in this sport generally, your B, C, D class guys, they don't understand how to train. Most of them you see, they just go to range and shoot, or they'll shoot a drill that they saw Ben Steger or Juanza Kim or somebody shoot, but they're not thinking deep enough and they don't understand how to layer their training and how to set it up for long-term success. They're just kind of doing the same things over and over again. So I would say that's probably the biggest piece that I can give them is help to teach them how to train and how to set up and build a training plan. Because once you have that, then you have direction. There's no second guessing. This is the work I need to put in. This is how I need to put it in. Then I just put it in. But a lot of times you see guys that are constantly, they don't know why they're doing a drill. They don't understand when to do different things or different modes of training to get into. So I believe that's been the biggest piece. But I will say that any of my students' success that they have, 0% of that belongs to me. I didn't pull the trigger a single time for them. I didn't do a single rep of drop fire for them. They put in the work. All I did was give them a little information, tell them like, this is the path to walk. But man, you got to go put in the sweat equity of walking.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can learn everything in the world, but if you don't practice, it's not going to matter.
Exactly.
So,
and you'll have some students do that. I have some students that they keep coming back to me every 6 or 8 weeks. They'll book a one-on-one session with me, and they're at the same place they were before. And it's very, very evident that they haven't been putting in the work. And that's where it comes on a coach to call them out on. It's like, hey, you haven't been putting in work. You can say what you want, but 2 15-minute dry fire sessions a week is not going to get you to progress from where you're at currently. This is where you told me your goal is. We come up with your training plan. You haven't put in the work. So you can stop wasting your money with me. I'll gladly take it, but you should stop wasting your money coming to me if you're not willing to put in the work to get the results that you're paying me to help you get to.
how frustrating is that for you?
It's extremely frustrating because I want to see the best for them. I really do. I'm a giver. I want to see these guys succeed. I want to see them win and grow, and to see them not get there because of a lack of effort or discipline on their part, it's really disheartening.
Well, it's also satisfaction on your part to see them, knowing that they took what you're giving them and they're improving, and then you get to see that. That's your self-satisfaction. And in a way, they're depriving you of it.
So my satisfaction is coming and seeing their happiness at their results from getting out of their training. And one of the coolest things is seeing guys that maybe still train with me, maybe they don't train with me anymore, but they train with me for an extensive period of time. And then seeing them help coach the new and upcoming shooters, the guys that are U class and don't have any experience, and watching them grab that guy and take him under their wing and like, hey, let me teach you how to stage plan real quick, or let me show you an entry real quick that's going to help you. So seeing that just get passed on to the next generation coming up, that's something that I can quietly sit back and watch and like, yeah, that's awesome.
Do you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I expected that was the answer.
This is my passion. I love this. And like I said, if I never win a title in this sport, if I live paycheck to paycheck the rest of my life, I'll die a happy man. I get to get up and have breakfast with my kids. I get to take days off and play with them when I want to. And on the days that I work, like, I am genuinely excited to get to work. I've got 3 clients tomorrow that I'm teaching. And I'm sitting here excited now, thinking about what I'm going to get to do with them tomorrow and seeing how much they've progressed from the last time and what kind of things can I layer in them for them to start working on moving forward. So I'm excited about waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, where I love my sleep. There's no other reason why I should be excited to wake up at 5 a.m. But I'm excited to get up in the morning and drive 2 hours to a range to teach these guys. So no, I don't see me doing anything else in life. Like I said,
Okay.
if I hit the lottery tomorrow, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I genuinely have a passion and a joy for what I do.
You just do it in more comfort.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would do it driving a Ford GT to the range instead of a 2006 Tacoma with 300,000 miles.
I hear you. Ryan, that's everything I had. Was there anything you want to talk about before we go?
One of the only things I'd like to add in there is the Tim Gaskin Legacy Foundation If you haven't heard of it, it's a foundation that I work hand in hand with. And what we do is, like I said it earlier in the show, but we raise money, raise funds, and we take that money and we give it back to youth competitors that are getting started. We assign them mentors. We pay for their membership for years on end. We give them a yearly stipend to go attend classes. We send them to their initial classes. We buy them guns and belts and ammo, help them get over the financial hardship of getting into this sport. And it was all started off of a young competitor. He was a student of mine, Tim Gaskin. He was 20 years old, and unfortunately, he passed away unexpectedly last year. His family jumped in. We started this nonprofit foundation, and we're doing it for a great reason, to help these youth shooters get started, get mentors in the sport, and help them get started off on the right foot. If you have a youth shooter or somebody that's interested in getting started in the sport, just Google Tim Gaskin Legacy Foundation. You'll find the website. You can apply to receive a scholarship if you want that. Or if you're someone who would like to help give back to the youth of the sport and want to donate to the scholarship to help these youths get involved in the sport, there's also a link for that on there. Reach out. We love seeing these new young shooters get involved early on, and we're going to do everything within our power to get it started. And if you ever want to get any training, hit me up on the website, on Instagram. I'd love to chat it up with you.
I've written it down too, that I'm going to add a link into the show notes so people can just click on that as well.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Dave. I appreciate you having me on. It's been an awesome conversation.
It has. It's been fun. I appreciate it. I know you've taken time out of your busy day, so
Absolutely.
good luck with everything. I do appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Hey, I look forward to it. Give me a shout. I'd be happy to jump on with you anytime, Dave.